Hi y'all, we are back with Module 66, which is division with rational exponents. So this is a division when we have fractions in our exponents. So what we're going to look at here, or what we really need to remember is that if we have something like a to the third over a squared, right? We learned in class that we would have a times a times a, and then we would have a times a, and we'd cancel some things out and see what's left, right? That's the understanding that we have. We also know that we can just shortcut that by saying, okay, we have a to the 3 minus the 2. So 3 minus 2 would give us what's left over, a to the 1, that answer right there. Right, so we know that. We know that anytime that we have division and we're using exponents, we're really thinking about subtracting. Right, so we're thinking about subtracting here. That's going to be our goal for today. So when I see this, exactly the same thing is going to happen. I'm going to have s to the 1/2 power minus the 5/2. Right? So minus the 5/2, just like that. So I'm going to think in my head, okay, I know they have the same denominator. Whoa. I know they have the same denominator. So I'm going to have s. I'm going to do 1/2 minus 5/2. I'm going to think 1 minus 5 would be negative 4 over 2. Right? That 2 stays the same, the denominator stays the same. So I'm going to try to simplify that. I can simplify that to negative 4 divided by 2 would be 2. Right? I don't want to leave any negative exponents, so I'm going to change it into a fraction so that I can write it with positive exponents. So I have 1 over s squared as my answer. Right? So to sum it up, we subtract the exponents, we simplify, and then if we need to, we turn it into a fraction. Let's see how this continues to play out here. So same thing, we're going to write it y to the 3/4 minus, right, subtracting the 9/4, right? That is going to give us y. 3 minus 9 is negative 6 over 4. I'm going to simplify that. It's y. Divide each of these by 2. Right, so that's going to be negative 3 over 2. I don't want to leave a negative exponent, so I'm going to put it over y to the 3/2, just like that. That's going to be my answer. All right. So those are pretty simple so far, mostly because our denominators have been the same. Right, we see it written a little bit different, but not different at all. We could have written it like this: 11/6 over v to the 17/6. That's exactly the same thing. So we know that we're going to subtract our exponents here. So we have v to the 11 minus 17 would be negative 6, and it's still over 6. So we would have simplify that to v to the negative 1. Negative exponents, turn it into a fraction, v to the 1. We can just write it as 1 over v. Fairly simple. Can be a little bit complicated, but I'm sure you guys got the hang of it so far. Let's look at one that doesn't have the same denominator. So it doesn't have the same denominator. It's going to take a little bit more work. We're still going to do this minus this, but we have 10/7 minus 5/2. There's nothing I can do to 2 to turn it into 7, and nothing I can do to 7 to turn it into 2. So I know that I'm going to have to multiply both of them. I'm going to multiply 2 times 7, top and bottom, and then I'm going to multiply 7 times 2, top and bottom. That means that I'm going to get 20 over 14 minus 35 over 14. I did that so they'd have the same denominator, so I know my answer is going to have the denominator 14. 20 minus 35 is negative 15. Right, so I know that that is my exponent, right? It's not my final answer, it's my exponent. So I'm going to have my u to the power of negative 15 over 14. That right there, I don't want to have this negative, pesky negative there. So I'm going to make a fraction, u on the bottom, with 15 over 14. Check to make sure 15 and 14 don't simplify. They do not. So I know that this is my answer. Right? Pretty simple. I trust that you guys can figure it out. Talk to your friends and send me an email if you need to. Thanks, guys.